Robert Halfon, you've just had a meeting with a large group, a number of organisations. Can you just take us through who was there and what was the purpose of the meeting?
Yeah, I asked for a meeting on a Monday this week for all the key community groups across Harlow, and some were on the phone, listening on the phones, and some were present, because my huge worry is that we make sure that vulnerable residents across the town are protected with this awful coronavirus. So what we had today was councillors from all political persuasions, homeless groups like Streets to Homes and the Chocolate Run. We had the food bank there, we had the rugby club, we had a number of businesses who are offering help, and it was a really important meeting because it was to try and coordinate activities and support, volunteering, donations, supplies for residents across Harlow.
And what did you bring out of this meeting as we've just left it? What do you think we've gained from that meeting?
Well, the first thing is actually a lot of faith. We're in a really tough time and it's pretty miserable, but some things really make you smile. The amount of commitment in the room from faith groups. There's a new Facebook group that has been set up by a man and his partner. They were in the room today, Daryl. Quite incredible of the willingness and determination of groups around Harlow to look after the most vulnerable, whether it's the elderly, whether it's disabled, whether it is children who need help, whether it is homeless people, whether it is just normal people who just can't get supplies.
One of the problems, though, for the people, as you said, Daryl and his partner, regarding setting up a group from Church Langley, etc., and then 5 o'clock in the morning, this morning in Tesco's in Church Langley, there are people queuing to get food. Is there a need for an appeal for calm in some way?
There is, and it's really difficult, and I understand why people are worrying, and I don't criticise people for doing it, because I know when they're buying this, they're not just buying it for themselves, they may be buying it for their grandparents or their immediate families. But we mustn't overshot, because there are the supplies there. I had a meeting with the Sainsbury's manager last week. I'm talking to other supermarket managers. There are plenty of supplies in the warehouses. There is plenty of toilet paper in the warehouses, plenty of it. And we mustn't just buy more than we need. We mustn't buy more than we need, because otherwise it's going to be really difficult. And if people are reasonable in what they buy, then hopefully they won't have to queue up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And we also need to make sure that those who don't have access to online delivery, the elderly and disabled and vulnerable, make sure that they're supplied with food.
Because one of the things we're talking about online, here we are, and this will be on our site, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, but those people who are not online, do you feel anything came out of the meeting that will help them?
Yes, I do, because what we got agreement today, and I was really pleased with this, was that the council would set up a hotline, as well as a website, a hotline for residents, so that most people who don't have access to the internet will have access to a telephone. And they will be able to ring a hotline, and that hotline will be able to not just give them advice, but also refer them to relevant bodies. So if there is a housing issue, they may be able to talk to Streets to Homes, for example. If there is a food issue or supplies issue, they might be able to talk to Food Bank. And that, as I understand it from what the Chief Executive of the Council was saying today, is that hotline is going to be set up, and I hope very much that your Harlow and others, I know, will advertise it. But the council will either put out a leaflet or a letter to people's homes advertising this hotline. And of course, people are contacting me every day with various requests, and I will try and help them in every way I can.
Finally, there's something about Harlow that we can have such a meeting like this, isn't it? It must give you faith and hope for the present and the future.
It's incredible. I've always said that Harlow, we may not have a lot of economic capital, but we have huge amounts of social capital. And what I mean by that is, it is just unbelievable the amount of charities, social networks, residents groups, volunteers, people wanting to donate and support those in need, and the things that go on in our town is incredible. And this does not happen elsewhere. I know people in London who live in suburbs in London who have nothing like this, nothing like this. I've spoken to MPs in other parts of the country, and they don't have these networks. They don't have a Rainbow Services or Streets to Homes or a local food bank necessarily, or incredibly diverse faith group. We've got a community group, ethnic community group, and a faith group, massive faith group, Heart for Harlow, that is again working with residents. We are, in that sense, despite all the doom, despite all the worry that people have, we're very lucky indeed.